breaking news. ESPN is reporting Adrian Peterson has been traded to the Arizona Cardinals for conditional draft pick. Peterson struggled in 4 games with the Saints with just 81 rushing yards and no touchdowns. Shannon, what's your reaction?
I never thought this marriage would work, Skip. When we started talking about it, I said, I just don't see the fit.
Yep.
I'm glad. The Arizona Cardinals have the worst rushing attack currently in football. Yep. David Johnson, their all-star, superstar running back, is injured. The earliest he could come back is November 9th. I'm believing if you thought he could come back then, you don't make this move. Bruce Arians was mentioning something around Christmas. Well, if you're going to wait to Christmas, why bring him back at all then? I like this move. Give Adrian Peterson a chance to go somewhere, a team that needs him and that's going to use him. He has to get 20 carries in order to be successful.
I thought it would work in New Orleans, but I knew it was over on opening night at Minnesota when Adrian gave that death stare to Sean Payton at the end of the first half. I said, bridge burned, forget about it. And yet, I just thought he would add some pop to them. I think they've turned it around. They're coming off their bye week now, 2-2. Detroit goes there this weekend. But Mark Ingram and Kamara has been better than I think even advertised.
Yep.
And yet, I'm happy for Adrian because he's going to get a chance to perform. They're averaging 52 yards rushing a game, and they're at 2-3, so they still think they got a fighting chance in that division. And I root for Bruce Arians because he's a good guy, and I think he's got a very good guy in Adrian right now. I think there's a lot left in that tank.
Skip, I think the thing is what we got to look at here is that when teams pay quarterbacks in excess of $20+ million, the running back normally isn't a factor. Now, Le'Veon is an anomaly because he's franchised and they're still paying Ben $21 million. But you see, he's complaining about not getting the touches because he feels that they might be trying to suppress his value down the road. That's not the here nor there. But when you pay a quarterback that kind of money, Skip, you're paying him that kind of money because you want him to throw the football. They're paying Matthew Stafford $27 million, not to turn around and hand the ball off to Abdullah, to throw the ball down the field to those receivers. And so that's what Adrian Peterson went into, a guy making $25 million, and you thought you was going to get 25, 30 carries a game.
Go, Adrian, go. I want to see one last hurrah.
Yep.
You just like it because you're Oklahoma soon.
I do.
That's it for us. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. Right now, Colin Cowherd grades Mitchell Trubisky's NFL debut.
I like Iowa State Cyclones. I like that's my new team. We did it. We did it, those things.
This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. I think this is going to be the show of the week. Christine Leahy is back after her 3-day sojourn, probably.
Wait, what are you talking about? And it's going to be the show of the week because I'm back.
That's right. And because our content's great, and I'm all fired up, and I'm nuts. And it's great to have you back. You were in, I'm not going to tell people where you go, but you had a nice weekend.
You have no idea where I was.
Chicago.
Yes, I was in Chicago.
There you go.
Heard a lot of Mitch Trubisky talk.
Okay, and by the way, that's where I'm starting. Thank you, Christine. Okay, so I was all fired up for Mitch Trubisky last night. First of all, I love Chicago. I'm not going to lie. Fox Sports has the NFC. The Bears are in the NFC. I like it when our teams have young quarterbacks. They're fun to watch. But let me start with this. It was Mitch-a-palooza. We were all caring about Mitch Trubisky because out of college, I was like, I don't know. And I love quarterbacks. I played quarterback in high school. I was terrible. I played for 1 year. I was awful. But I'm immersed in it. I love the position. I'm fascinated by it. I talk about it too much. I rank them. I list them. I talk to scouts about them. I'm kind of a quarterback nerd. Everybody's a nerd in something. I'm a quarterback nerd. I'm totally into it. And this weekend to me was Mardi Gras. I got Goff and Wentz and Dak and Deshaun. They looked unbelievable. And Mitch Trubisky, how about this clever 2-point conversion play? Love that. Oh, my God, it's unbelievable. So I thought this morning, after Mitch Trubisky, I'm going to give all the young quarterbacks, and I'm just talking about the guys that are in the league the last 2 years. It's time to grade them. So let's start with this. Let's hand out grades. Okay, I believe Carson Wentz, 2 years in the league, has established himself as an A student. His third down passer rating's 137. I'm not just talking after this weekend. He's going to be an A quarterback in this league. He is an A quarterback. Feet, arm, accuracy, nimble, toughness, coachability. He gets an A. I really believe he is the star. He's the next Aaron Rodgers over the next 10 years. He's the next dominating quarterback in this conference. He gets an A. All right, let's talk some Jared Goff of the Rams. I said coming out, I thought he had the chance to be a better version of Matt Ryan. To me, he's established himself. I know it's early, but if McVay sticks around, he has the chance to be a B-plus quarterback, which I've always said that's what Matt Ryan is, but I think he has a little better arm than Matt Ryan. I think against Seattle, he shows the ability to run. He's more athletic than we thought with his feet. He has a beautiful touch. When you give him plays designed to drop, throw, he's very accurate. He can see the field. Watch his head. He'll look first, second, third, fourth receiver. He does not get locked onto receivers like a lot of young quarterbacks do. I think he's a B-plus quarterback this point going forward. You can win a Super Bowl with a B-plus quarterback. Let's go to Deshaun Watson. Now, I know it's his first year, and I know it's early, but I'm going to give him a B-plus. I see everything I need to see. I don't give a rip that he was good against Alabama. I get the size. He's big enough. I get the arm. It's good enough. I get the it factor, the coachability. Never forget, Clemson coaches said he was not only our best player, he was our most coachable player. He's got Bill O'Brien. I don't need to see a ton with him. What I see is a little bit of Russell Wilson and a lot of Andrew Luck and a little bit of Carson Wentz. There's an it. He is calm. He doesn't have a great arm. He's not a perfect size, but he's a B-plus student. And I think going forward again, you can win a Super Bowl with a B-plus student. Dak Prescott this weekend, 17-play drive. To me, Dak Prescott is not as good naturally as Goff or Deshaun, but he is a B student. This is what he's going to be. You can win a Super Bowl with a B student. Going to need a little more around him, a little better offensive line, a little better running back, a little better defense. Dak, 17-play drive. I've said before, arm, okay. Feet, okay. Leadership, through the roof. I think he's incredibly coachable. I think he's nimble athletically, although I don't think he's a world-class athlete. He made mistakes in college. I'm going to give him a pass. He's young. He makes mistakes. He's also shown he won't be bulldozed. He won't be beholden to a high-maintenance wide receiver. He is a B quarterback. He'll have A days. He may have A stretches. He may drop to a C for a weekend. He's a B. And finally, Mitch Trubisky. He is incomplete. I watched last night. There was so much I liked. He's athletic as heck. His accuracy does not dip when he's on the run. That's impressive. You ever seen Joe Flacco's accuracy when he runs? Awful. Trubisky's got good feet. Looked a little nervous. Not just because of one game, though. My problem is John Fox and the Bears signed Mike Glennon. 3-year contract, huge money. Defensive coaches don't understand quarterbacks and offensive players. Ask yourself, folks, who are the 3 really talented quarterbacks who for the last several years have been inconsistent? Cam, Andrew Luck, and Big Ben, all with defensive coaches. What quarterbacks have popped in the last year? Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, Wentz, Goff, Dak, all with offensive head coaches. I saw a ton of potential with Mitch Trubisky last night. But long-term success, if Mitch Palooza is going to work, and I'm not a guy that calls for people's jobs, I think he needs an offensive coach. Cam, Big Ben, Luck, we expect more. We're getting less. I look at the report card, folks. We have an exciting group of young players. An A, 2 B pluses, a B. Trubisky, I'm crossing my fingers because I would love to see the Bears be great again. All right, let me segue to this. Baseball playoffs. Yankees won, forced to Game 5. Dodgers won their series. But I'm seeing a trend now, and it's driving me crazy. You baseball analytic people are just destroying your managers. And I see this every year. Tony La Russa doesn't know what he's doing. This year, Joe Girardi doesn't know what he's doing. Terry Francona, I cannot believe he didn't start Corey Kluber in Game 1. You're all over Joe Girardi because he's too mechanical and by the book and robotic. Now you're all over Terry Francona because Terry Francona is too impulsive and goes with his gut. Last year, it was Joe Madden butchering the bullpen for the Cubs. You do understand, as you clobber Joe Girardi, that the Yankees went into this season feeling they were a year away from being a playoff team, and now they forced the Cleveland Indians, the best team in the American League, to a 5th game. They shouldn't even be here. You do realize in the wild card game against the Twins, Joe Girardi, starter, choked like a cat on a hairball. Couldn't get people out in the first inning, and Girardi had to manage 8 innings of bullpen and was brilliant. You beat up on Madden. You beat up on Francona. You're beating up on Lou Pinella's and Tony La Russa's. I understand Ned Yost and Dusty Baker. They're not considered great. I get it. But Francona, Girardi, really? Ask yourself this. Ask yourself a very simple question. All you baseball people, ask yourself this. Is baseball in the postseason the same sport as it is in the regular season? No. It's just like as a parent. I parent differently in the summer than I do the rest of the year. In the summer, I let my kids stay out later. I let them sleep in later. We go to the ice cream shop more in the summer. I'm a little bit of a looser parent in the summer. Are you a tax accountant? Don't you work different hours in March and April? In television, in the fall, September, October, November, December, we program differently. We market differently. We promote differently. That's the way life works. That sometimes parenting, the final week in college is different than the rest of the school year. You're cramming, you're not sleeping, there's midterms, there's finals. Retail. Isn't the holiday season different in retail than it is the rest of the year? Well, ask yourself in baseball. Do you use starters as middle relievers in the regular season? No. You do in the playoffs. Do you use closers in the 7th and 8th inning, not just the 9th in the regular season? No, you do in the postseason. Postseason baseball for these managers is just juggling plates. You're asking Verlander to come in as a middle reliever. You'll ask a closer who for 7 months you've said you go in and get 2 outs. You ask him to get 6 outs. You ask star pitchers to work on short rest. You ask guys who need 4 days of rest to pitch on 3, and guys who prefer 3 to pitch on 5. You're asking stars to be utility players, to be middle relievers. You're asking Girardi, who had a really bad game Friday. You're asking Girardi and Francona and Joe Madden, who managed one way for 6 months, and now they're on a survivalist regime here. They're just trying to survive. They're on an island. You don't go to Whole Foods or Ralph's and order bark, but if you were on an island like Bear Grylls, you'd eat bark. That's all these managers are doing now. It's a different sport. Just like for an accountant, April's different. For a parent, summer's different. For retail people, the holiday season's different. For television executives, the fall is different. For movie people, you drop all your movies in October, November, December. You're asking these guys, you're literally nitpicking them analytically. October's Manalytics, where you ask the horses, the dudes, the guys, the stars to do things you never ask them. You ask them to sleep less, work more, go in the 8th when you'd never ask them to even go in the 6th. You're moving chess pieces constantly, and baseball people are destroying them. Girardi's a hell of a manager. Francona's probably better. Joe Madden could be the best, and you chew them up every year. Playoff baseball, and this is what makes it great, it's just survival island. You do what you got to do, get out of the analytics, get into the manalytics, go to your horses and ask them to do things you'd never ask them to do the entire regular season. Girardi got this team to a Game 5. They weren't supposed to be a playoff team this year. He had a lousy Friday. So what? We all do. His body of work has been great. Now he has CC Sabathia going in Game 5, and he didn't use his 2 best relievers, so they're well rested and ready to go. You can't manage any better than that in the most important game of the season. All right, coming up next, the single silliest, most ridiculous thing I've ever heard about a criticism on Dak Prescott of the Cowboys. I'm not even going to mention the writer's name. It is absurd. They are so lucky in Dallas to have Dak Prescott. You won't believe this criticism of him next. As a